Pure Skills 86 here, and I guess I'm gonna do this question vid. It was in a topic at the BDC. The website is www.bdcgamer.com. It's not my website, someone else is running it, and I've just been going there for a while, like two years I think it's been there for, maybe a bit more. And one of the members there, Sir Kibble, too, he's been doing vidcasts, but I guess he didn't get around to it this week or this month. Well, he just hasn't got around to it because he's a busy man. But he asked to ask questions, and I asked 10 questions. And I want to hear his answer, but I guess I'll answer them because I feel like it. And if anybody else wants to do the same and give their side, they can go right ahead. So, first question that I asked is, do you feel games are being pushed to finish or make a date rather than taking their time to make a game as best as possible? Taking time within reason. Let me turn this down. Alright, I think that games don't get rushed. I think that obviously games get rushed, but I think there's companies out there that take the time to put out a very decent game, or better. I think more of a problem nowadays is the DLC becoming pointless. Like, they'll put stuff in the DLC or downloadable content that shouldn't be downloadable content, and I think that's what they're pushing right now. Obviously there's games that aren't really getting finished, and I'm sure there's a bunch, and sometimes I don't really think it's their fault because it's usually small companies that I don't think have the money to make a game like Fallout 3 or a Nintendo game like, I don't know, anything Zelda, Metroid. Yeah, so I think when games tend to get pushed nowadays, it's usually in the sense of downloadable content, which ends up being a ripoff. But if a game looks like it's being pushed, I think it's just because the company doesn't have the time or resources to really finish the game. Question number 2, do you think there is a point when a game has too many sequels and becomes bland because putting fresh ideas into the series becomes plateaued? I don't think I know any series that have got plateaued. I think there's always going to be ideas that you can put into a game series, but I think a lot of companies that are on their 4th, 5th, or 10 plus game in the series, I think a lot of games, when they have a high number, tend to go backwards. Like the Resident Evil 4, for example, which will be in my other video. I'll talk about it for a few minutes just because I'm rambling. You know, you come out with number 5, and instead of being a progression of the game, it just seems like they copied the combat system and everything else is backwards or the same. Like, I think a lot of games do that. They go backwards instead of really going out there to figure out how to make the game bigger, better, and stronger. And it doesn't have to have a new idea usually, but you know, I think it's retarded when they take things that are working really good and they make them shitty. And I think game companies tend to do that a lot. And there's another game I can think of off the top of my head, and that's Mario Kart Wii. I mean, they added online, but you could add online to any of the other Mario Kart games pretty much, and they'd be way better games, because I think they went backwards on the new Mario Kart Wii. Question number 3, do you feel that there's enough effort being put into original IPs from the bigger game companies out there, not specifically the unknowns, or do you think they are milking the originals too much? They're definitely milking the originals, but is it too much? No, because a lot of us do want to see sequels to our favorite games, but if they're shitty sequels, that's just not going to work out very good. So, But the question is there enough effort being put into new IPs? And I'd say no. I really don't think there is enough effort from the bigger companies. And it's probably because it's a very risky investment, and it's already hard to make a new like mascot like character when all your fans already love what's already there. And I think that's probably a lot harder for Nintendo than other companies, because like Xbox doesn't really have a mascot, like has Master Chief and that's it, maybe Fable other than that. But Nintendo has like these long running characters like Link, Metroid, um, the F-Zero characters, Pokemon, and Mario. So to bring in a new character is not very easy, and it takes a long time. Like Pokemon took a while. Well, Pokemon was kind of an instant hit, but to be considered like, I don't know. You know what? Some games are the exception. I guess Pokemon's the exception. But you know, they had Pikmin and Olimar or whatever. I don't think he's really that famous. You know, I mean, Pikmin is a known game, but it's not. I don't think it's super famous. So, yeah. 5. How do you feel about downloadable content that is overpriced, or downloadable content for things that should be in the game to begin with? Your recent example is Capcom's multiplayer, blah blah blah, RE5, which are actually on the game disc. So content that's actually on the game disc and it's overpriced, well, fuck Microsoft for that shit. That's what I think. Question 6. Do you feel that reviewers, not all but generally, have become more cookie cutter and less passionate over the years compared to the older days of reviewing? Do you prefer the magazine style of Nintendo Power, EGM, GamePro, Xbox Magazine, or websites like GameSpot or Game Trailers? I think the guys that do the reviews are very cookie cutter. I find written reviews a lot better, and I think that a lot of these guys aren't taking the time to really review the games. But I think there's obviously people that do, and I find that more in magazines. That's just my opinion. I think magazines are better. They might have got worse. I haven't really read a magazine in the last 3 or 4 months, but that's because of money. Number 7. In the world full of internet walkthroughs, do you believe selling walkthroughs for a game has become pointless? Yes, yes, and yes, unless it's a game like Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Question 8. Do you feel no matter how horrible a game can get, violence, drugs, sex, do you think that game should be censored, or do you think that the people have a right to boycott or choose for themselves if they want that kind of content, providing that they have ID and are of age and everything else, such as alcohol, porn, and so on, blah blah blah? So, yes, everyone should have the right to play violent video games as long as it is within the restrictions of things like porn, alcohol, and cigarettes. So you have a choice to put what you want into your mind, just like you have the right to put what you want into your body. Who is your favorite female character? Do you think females have gotten a bigger role as characters? Do you think girl gamers have gotten more respect than 10 years ago, or do you think they are treated as more of objects rather than taken seriously competitively? Favorite female character? Fuck. I don't know that one off the top of my head, and I'm running out of time. If they got bigger roles, no. Maybe in fighting games they've gotten bigger roles, but they don't have bigger roles. Do you think girls have got more respect than before? No, I still think the image that girls suck at video games is still out there, but I think a lot more girls have earned respect in the gaming community than before. And 10, what do you hate about each system? Well, that's like a whole nother set of questions, motherfuck. I'll get around to that later. But I'd say 360 is overpriced, downloadable content, Wii just sucking and not having hardcore games, and the PS3 being way overpriced because I'd actually play it. And the DS is good, but has a few shitty games, and the PSP is, I don't know, fuck the PSP. Peace.